Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another installment of the Booze Briefing. This is where I get to answer your dumbass questions about my books. Joe's The Cold War Diaries Volume 1 and Joe's The Cold War Diaries Volume 2. So, hey, before we get started, give us a like, share, follow, subscribe, do all the things you're supposed to do. Because remember, every book we sell helps raise more money and awareness for Gold Star Mothers, American Gold Star Mothers. And you can check them out at AmericanGoldStarMothers.org. Super great cause. Check them out. So you may notice that I'm coming to you from a little bit different of an environment and a little bit different of a form factor on the videos. So yeah, we're switching to this sort of wide format. I don't know why. We'll try it. Okay, I'll level with you. The real reason is the bar that I'm sitting at. It's pretty cool. And yeah, I like it. If you're going to drink bourbon and BS, you may as well do it at an actual bar, right? So that's what we're doing. So today we're going to be trying an interesting selection from Dimwit. This is Redwood Empire's Pipe Dream from Sonoma County, California. This is a 90 proof, bourbon whiskey. So we're going to give this a go. Don't know much about it. Guess I could read it on the back, huh? Hand-selected barrels aged at least 4 years, and aging their barrels in the temperate climate of the Northern California coasts allows for a slow and even extraction of flavor, and so on and so forth. Well, you know how we do it here. We don't get too caught up in the notes and the smells and the leather and lavender and all that crap. We like to drink. So we're going to go ahead and open this up and go ahead and give ourselves a nice pour here. We got 2 or 3 questions we'll get to today. I still have a ton of questions to get through. And by the way, if you want to send me a question about the books or, I don't know, what life was like in the 80s Army, Cold War era, you can hit me up on the Facebook group, Joe's The Cold War Diaries. You can look it up there. You can hit me up there. My email address is on that page. You can hit me up through YouTube as well. So, yeah, just shoot me your questions and I'll add them to the list. So let's give ourselves my ice is melting because this is my third take because the dogs were barking and all kinds of stuff going on upstairs. So hopefully they won't interrupt us anymore. We'll set this aside and let that season a little bit. Redwood Empire's Pipe Dream. But anyway, first question we got today is from Philly Bill. Which story was the hardest to write, not because of trying to recall all the details, but just from an emotional standpoint? Ooh. You know, boy, that's tricky. You know, if I had to, I'd say anything with Littleton in it. Any story that involved me recalling the details with him. He's since passed away, and he and I were pretty close. And those are, you know, you laugh about those stories as you're recalling them, of course, but there's an undertone there, for me personally, where, you know, I miss the guy, you know, I miss him. And it's sort of I don't know, man. Yeah, those are hard. Those are harder, I should say, than the rest. But there are others too. A lot of those guys have since passed on. And but Littleton and I were squad bay mates, good buddies, and yeah, those are tough. Here's another question from Marcus. Which of the Joes do you stay in contact with these days? Ugh. You know, what's interesting is most of us, I got out in 89, right? 1989. So pre-internet, Facebook, all that stuff, social media. So it's a lot easier today if those buddies haven't passed on, you know, to try and track them down or track down somebody that knows them, you know. I'd say Bierman is probably the one that I talk to the most these days. He was in the mix with me and Littleton and a lot of other guys and a lot of stories in those books. But I still talk to Benton. There's some other guys in the book, you know, that I'm in touch with, but I'd say Bierman probably the most. In fact, we came back to the States and we got an apartment together with a couple other guys, and you know, we were hanging out for a while post-service. But yeah, the internet's definitely made it a lot easier. You know, with social media, you can kind of keep track of people and, you know, share what's going on in your life and all that kind of stuff. And let's see, the last question is, from Quiet Insanity. That'd be a great name for a band, wouldn't it? Speaking of bands, Motorhead. Just leave it at that. Ace of Spades, baby. Message or question from Quiet Insanity. Which story best captures the real feel of life in 364 Armor back then? Out of these two books, I don't think one story does. One particular story. You know, I think it's sort of the embodiment of all of it, right? I don't think one story alone sort of captures that essence, you know, because there are little bits and pieces and you know, reminders and nuggets of things and different stories that all kind of collectively kind of, you know, paint that picture of what life was really like in 364 and a lot of other units back then too. It wasn't just limited to 364 Armor. Believe me, there was a lot of every other unit in the Army at least was getting up to the same shit, especially overseas back then. So yeah, I don't think one story does. Now we'll give you a little bit of a, I don't want to call it a spoiler, but there's in volume 3 there is a story called Echoes. And Echoes is probably, to date, the story that I'm the proudest of as an author. And I don't want to reveal too much because I think you really have to read it. And then when the book comes out and, you know, people have had a chance to read it, then I can maybe talk about that story some more. But that particular story, I think, does a pretty good job to this question about, you know, capturing the real feel of life in 364 Armor back then in one story. It would be Echoes, but it's not published yet. So be on the lookout for Joe's volume 3. Yeah, it's the last story in the book. It's called Echoes. All right, here we go. Let's try Redwood Empire's Pipe Dream Bourbon Whiskey. See, that's right in my sweet spot, right? That high 80s, low 90s proof. This is a 90 proof. Yeah, this is really smooth. It's really good. You know, the sad part is, you're watching this video on Facebook or YouTube, and you're sitting there thinking, you know, he's sitting at his bar drinking. The sad part is it's like 11:30 in the morning here. Yeah, so, yeah. I don't know if it hits the same at you know, this time of day or, you know, 5 p.m. It probably sounds better at 5 p.m. I know that, but I had to get a video out, so I had to try it. So, hey, I'm drinking it in the morning. I'm a morning drinker now for this show and this show only. Kids don't do this at home. At any rate, keep your glass full, your bullshit minimal, and your stories worth telling. Rampage, We Pierce.
Dismissed!